Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast.
Hey, Steve. Good afternoon.
Great to see you, Jack. I miss you already. It was fun having you here over the weekend.
I miss you too. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Yeah, I hope you had a good time.
I had an awesome time. I mean, he did push me pretty hard in the workout area, but I think that was good for me, so it was nice coming there, kind of little Steve boot camp.
I don't know, man. When we went on a run, I was like, hey, man, you set the pace. We'll take it easy. It's fine. You were going hard in that run. I was like, damn, dude, we don't have to go that fast. That was all you.
Okay, well, I was just trying to make sure that I didn't go so slow that you were bored, So, maybe we can just meet in the middle sometime. Maybe just say a little bit slower,
Yeah. Next one, we'll meet in the middle.
It's interesting, right? You ever think about you go on a run normally and it's okay, I know the route I'm going, so I can pace myself. But I'm going on this run and I don't actually know when we're stopping. So I have no idea how to pace myself. So I'm okay, I hope this is good. I hope this isn't going to turn into a 5-miler or something.
No, dude. Usually what I do, because if I run in a really humid, hot climate, like here in Cancun, I usually take it easy, because if you go too fast, you overheat, you start sweating, the air feels super thick in the humidity. So it feels like you can't breathe. So I try to take it easy in tropical climate.
Yeah, that's true. It was really humid. But I feel that's probably good. I wonder what's harder, running in Denver or in the humidity,
Yeah.
Because they both have their pros and cons.
I've always thought the humidity is worse. At least Denver feels nice on your skin when you're out there. But yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Both make it challenging to breathe in certain ways. But anyway, I mean, we did good. And I don't want our viewers to think that we just did a bunch of boring workout stuff. We still drank beers. We still ate a ton of tacos. We had a blast.
We did. We went to a wedding, which was one of the most lit weddings of all time, I gotta say. I mean, did you have fun at the wedding, Jack?
Yeah, I had an incredible time. It was really exciting. It was good to get everyone together. I think my favorite was all the boys. Yeah, I think my favorite part was when we were all got together and we were playing beach volleyball. I feel that was the best part of the wedding. I mean, other than the ceremony and the love, and that's great too, but volleyball on the beach with the boys is really hard to beat.
My favorite part of beach volleyball was when we broke the net. The whole net just came down, and I think we just kind of left it there. We left it. Yeah. And then I think the next day it was fixed and other people were using it. But for most of the day, we just broke it and left it. We're all right, volleyball's over.
I don't even remember that part where the other people sad, it kind of take the wind out of their sails a bit.
I wasn't playing at that point either. I just saw it happen. I was on the beach and I just looked over and I was like, oh, looks like the guys broke the net. We had dudes climbing the pole, trying to fix it and stuff. And I think they just couldn't do it. It was great.
Wow, that's hilarious. I mean, I guess we were playing pretty rough,
Yeah, we go hard when we play beach volleyball. We don't mess around. We're trying to get to the Olympics. So
exactly. And what a great team building activity. So for our friend group, that was awesome. It was a great thing.
Yeah, I think we all have a stronger friendship now. It was funny when random people would want to play with us and they were really bad, and some of the bros were getting mad. They're like, these guys suck. I don't want them to play with us.
Don't put me on the shitty team.
Yeah, exactly. With the little kid or someone's grandma. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be one of those things. You got to be this tall to ride. We're trying to, have a competitive game here. So you guys just wait a little bit.
But yeah, overall, good weekend. I'm glad you got to stay here a few nights and we did our thing. That was awesome. So it wasn't all, you didn't spend all your time in a resort, or as we call it, fake Mexico.
Right.
You got some real Mexico time too. That was good.
It was so fake Mexico. I mean, the first night me and you went out, the next morning, I get that familiar feeling of my stomach hurting because of the tacos. I never felt that again the rest of the time in Mexico. Everything was completely fine. My stomach knows how to handle shitty pizza and hot dogs and hamburgers just fine.
Yeah, that's when you know you're in real Mexico, is when your tummy gets upset. I had to do the same thing for Toad because he stayed like on the back end of the wedding with me a few nights, and he's like, "Yeah, my stomach hasn't been upset yet." I'm like, "We'll get you there, brother. Don't worry." And we did. We did. I can confirm that he had some tummy troubles. So yeah, he mission accomplished.
It is hilarious because a few people did say that towards the end of the resort. They're like, man, like Mexico isn't so bad. Like my stomach's completely fine. I'm like, guys, we've been eating pepperoni pizza in thoughts.
Anyway, should we talk about our stuff that we want to talk about on the pod today?
Yeah, let's move away from Mexico and talk about Jordan potentially.
Let's go, baby. That's our location highlight of the day, is the country of Jordan, where I've never been, but Jack, you sure as hell have, and I'm excited to hear more about this from you.
Dude, I'm glad you are. I decided I want to talk about Jordan this time on the pod because someone asked me about it in Mexico, not to bring Mexico up again, and they seem to really, they're like, wow, that's cool. I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe we should talk about this place.
Dude, hell yeah. I mean, it seems like an awesome place. I've heard about it from you here and there, and I've always gotten really hyped about it. So yeah, we're really good at talking about Middle Eastern countries on this podcast. I feel like that's been a common theme. So let's get into it.
Yeah, another Western bro take on a Middle Eastern country. Like, this is gonna be great.
I love it.
All right, so I just to clarify, I stayed in Amman, which is the capital of Jordan. And if you don't know where Jordan is, it's in the Middle East. It's kind of by Egypt and Israel. It shares a similar body of water that borders Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, called the Sea of Aqaba, which is a town in Jordan. And we stayed primarily in the capital, again, which is Amman. And I felt like that was a great place to kind of be. I feel like it's kind of in the north part of the country. It's fairly located, around some cool stuff. I felt like the city itself was really clean and it had a lot going on. It felt very lively, even though we totally went during Eid, which is sort of the holy month of Ramadan where you can't eat or drink, but that didn't stop me at all. We found all the places we needed to go. We had some great food. And if anything, things were just like more open than they normally would have been, because no one else was there. So they were happy to have our business. So I think that traveling during Eid wasn't as bad as maybe people might think it is if you're going to a Middle Eastern country, as long as it's, maybe not too conservative. But there's basically like three main attractions that I loved about Jordan that I kind of want to talk about. One is Petra, another one is the Dead Sea, and then the last one is Wadi Rum. And so I'll start with the Dead Sea because I thought that was a really cool experience. It was very biblical. And I feel like it's a people know about the Dead Sea all over, and just kind of some quick fun facts about it. It's the lowest point on Earth. So you've never been lower than when you're at the Dead Sea. And surprisingly, it's so salty. Okay. That's why it's called the Dead Sea, because it has so much salt content. And this kind of blew my mind. 34% salt content in the water. So a third of the water in the Dead Sea is literally salt. This is 10 times saltier than the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is salty as hell. And it's literally deadly to living organisms. So no fish, no plants, no seaweed live in the Dead Sea. If a fish accidentally swims in the Dead Sea, it's insta-killed. It's just like they swim in, they get destroyed immediately by the salt, and they're dead.
Wow, really living up to the name. I'm glad it's not just some bullshit name, the Dead Sea. Like, no, it is actually deadly.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could be good for us humans, though. I know there's a lot of people out there that kind of get nervous about swimming in bodies of water, like a shark's going to eat them, or like maybe a big fish is going to scare them. But in a scenario like this, like it's okay. Like you don't have to worry about any of that. All the animals are dead.
That's good, Jack, because I know we were snorkeling that one time and you saw a really large fish and you got pretty scared. I mean, you started swimming as fast as you could back to shore. You're like, I just saw the biggest fish ever. That was in Florida, but yeah, won't happen.
It was, and just for the record, it was a huge fish, and I was scared. It was a big one.
Anyway,
But not your problem in the Dead Sea. All right. And so what's kind of wild though, this kind of blew me away, is that boats like cannot effectively do boat stuff in the Dead Sea because it's so buoyant from the salt. It's like the boat is like so pushed out of the water that it's like wobbly because it's so buoyant. So it's like too buoyant for boats in a practical sense, which is so weird for me to think about.
so do you see any boats or any personal watercrafts perhaps on the Dead Sea? Nothing.
No, nothing. So basically the way I experienced it was, and another thing is, the Dead Sea has been sort of like one of these like health destinations for thousands, hundreds of years, where people will go and they want to do like some sort of spa thing because, the salt content and the minerals around it are supposed to be like really good for your skin and stuff like that. So we went to this like hotel resort type of situation, and they have like a little like beach area set up next to the Dead Sea, and they have like this like mud pit, and like you see all these people that are like naked and they're like putting mud all over their bodies. And I guess this mud is like from the Dead Sea, and they cover their whole body in this mud. And then they hang out for a bit, and then they go and wash the mud off. And so that sort of situation is kind of why there are even like resorts or like infrastructure around the Dead Sea, because people want to do, some exfoliation and things like that.
Sounds legit. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the angle. People are there. It was even, I mean, it's supposed to be so, it's so salty and has these sort of preserving properties that Egyptians used to like do mummification stuff by the Dead Sea because it helped like preserve the bodies. So it's really been useful for a while. Now, obviously, like the tourist I am, like I want to go in the water, right? So like obviously I'm gonna get in there, but it's so weird because you're like floating, like you're floating way more than you think you would float. It's almost like sitting on it's almost to be like laying on like an air bubble, like or like a bean bag where you're like flopping around. You like can't quite like get underwater, or I imagine it'd be like laying on jello or something.
Or like a water bed. My parents had a water bed back in the day, which was super weird. I think it was trendy for a while. Like, I don't think people do it anymore. I don't think it's actually comfortable, but I imagine it's like that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Now this is the part that I kind of like forgot, and I didn't really like listen to them when they told me, but they're like, do not get water in your eyes. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. And so of course I'm in there, I'm kind of thrashing around, like of course I'm going to get water in my eyes. And it stung so bad. I mean, just imagine like, when you open your eyes up underwater in the ocean or something, like in the Dead Sea, it's way worse. It's like stinging. Like I got to get out. I have to go. Remember like those classrooms when you're a kid, the science classroom with like the eye thing, like that. I needed that. I needed that eye thing in like 7th grade to like clear out like what was going on in my face.
Yikes. Okay. I will definitely keep that in mind. I'll always wear goggles the whole time if I ever go and just not even let anything get in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a pretty good move. Now, the classic pick that I guess everyone takes is like the reading the book pick. So you're like on your back, like sunbathing position, and you're reading the book because you're like so buoyant. It's like a couch. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome. That's awesome. Did you get this pick for the?
Yes, I have a pick.
Okay. All right.
Upload that to the pod for sure.
Yeah, we'll share that one.
But I mean, the Dead Sea is cool. I feel like it's like a 1 day thing unless you're really into like the health exfoliation stuff, which yeah, like I'm down, but I'm not gonna like spend all my day exfoliating. Like eventually I got a little bored because you can't swim, everything's dead. It's kind of hot out, so like I'd love to swim because it's hot, but like I don't want to. Uh, but it's still very interesting. And you get the pic where it says, "Welcome to the lowest point on Earth," and everything like that. And it's definitely a vibe.
That's cool. Yeah. I've had some low points in my life, some breakups, losing a job, something like that. But now I know that I was never actually as low as the Dead Sea.
Right. And you know what? Once you hit rock bottom, there's only one place to go, that's up. So I think that's really inspiring.
Good point. Yeah, that's an optimistic take. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. So totally suggest going out there, doing your little resort move, hanging out for the day. And what is great is that the hotel we were at had a really badass actual pool, like away from the Dead Sea. So after we did the whole Dead Sea stuff, and we're like, all right, well, let's get back to reality here. Like, let's go swim in the pool, hang out,
Nice.
listen to like a DJ or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the Dead Sea. Highly recommend it. It's fairly close to Amman. I thought it was cool. The next thing is a place called Wadi Rum, and basically, it's basically this gigantic, dramatic desert landscape in the south of Jordan. And this is sort of where the Bedouin tribes live. It just looks like for miles, just sand dunes and dramatic canyons and different people camping. And it really feels like you're in the middle of nowhere. There's like no light pollution. I think it was like a 4-hour drive from Amman. So it's fairly kind of out in the boonies. I had a really good experience there. It's such a dramatic, cool landscape that a lot of famous movies have actually been shot there. I think the two most notable ones is The Martian with Matt Damon and Lawrence of Arabia, are kind of the two main movies that were at least partially shot there. And what is cool is because The Martian was so popular, before the Bedouins had these like traditional tents that you would go and you would sleep in, they look sort of like black rectangular sort of boxes, and they're sort of like normal tents and everyone hang out. And then after The Martian came out, they took out all those tents and they put in these like half circle dome tents that look like what you would think would be on Mars, like little like Martian looking encampments. So it looks like you're like in like an air pressurized chamber in space, with like half of it like opened, so you can see like when you go to bed, it's like your bed is facing the stars essentially, and everything's open. And you can just see everything, and it's a pretty cool moment.
That's dope. I love that. That Martian's a great movie. I think that's the one where he makes potatoes like on Mars somehow, and he just like survives on potatoes. ChatGPT, again, I don't believe everything that ChatGPT says. It says that in that desert, Star Wars and the movie Dune were also filmed there. Now, there's been like a million Star Warses at this point, so I don't know which one or like, how many scenes. It could be one scene. I don't know, but they said there were some filming locations for Star Wars and Dune as well.
Okay, well, I can see Dune for sure, and maybe Star Wars for like Tatooine,
Yeah,
like on
certainly.
with like yeah, or like or Dune would be like Arrakis, where the spice people were.
Yeah.
I totally see that. It was cool. And basically what we did was we did sort of this, like we went camping with these Bedouins, and they kind of showed us the ways. They took us out to different parts of the canyon and everything. And one of the coolest things was we cooked like a bunch of chicken, but they like essentially cut out a huge sort of well underground and put like all this chicken and all these veggies sort of in this giant container and buried the whole thing. And that is how they were actually able to cook the meat. And then after a few hours, we pulled it out of the ground and had a feast. And I thought that was just so cool, you know?
That's dope. Yeah. I need one of those in the backyard, you know, like that should be the new thing for dads, like suburban dads. Instead of like a grill, just bury some shit. I love that.
Yeah. Maybe they can like make an attachment for the green egg, like a drill attachment. So you can kind of like put your big green egg completely underground in your suburban backyard.
That's great.
But yeah, it was cool. And you know, it's hilarious. Of course, you know, we sleep in like the little Martian tents, right? And they don't even need tents. They're like, okay, well, we're going to sleep right here. Like, we're just going to sleep on the ground, like by the fire. Like, we're good. You guys can do your little thing, but we're fine. We'll see you in the morning.
Enjoy your tent, you tourists. We're going to do it the real way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, yeah. I didn't feel too bad about it. I mean, they're kind of rough and tumble, you know, they you know, to each their own. I was happy with the tent and the bathroom and the stars. Yeah. Yeah. But I loved it. I thought it was an interesting camping experience. I felt like you really felt like you were in the middle of nowhere, and it was just crazy. Like the canyons, and there was one part where it was like desert, but there was desert grass. And so like you would like see like dunes of sand, but covered in grass, almost like, but not super thick like a lawn, but almost like wheat or something like that. And I thought it was super cool.
Yeah, I've seen that before. It kind of reminds me of like a baby's hair or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Tommy Pickles' head. Yeah, just out there. Yeah, that's cool.
That's hilarious. It's okay. Tommy Pickles' head. Yeah. So, okay. So Jordan, like we kind of covered like two different natural wonders, you know, you got like this dramatic canyon, desert landscape, and then you got this Dead Sea that's so deadly that no big fish are going to bite you in there. And so I thought that great contrast there.
Yeah. And that we're all about world wonders on this show. And I feel like you have an actual world wonder for us from Jordan, right?
That's right. That's right. Petra did make it on the new 7 wonders list, and deservedly so. I always say this is like my favorite like touristy thing I've ever seen. It's the one that gets me going the most. Like if I like a lot of times when you go to see a touristy thing, I feel like it's a one-time thing. Like, okay, I saw it. This was awesome. I definitely think it's cool, but like, I don't know if I'm going to do like another trip back to go check it out. But this one, I would be down. If some of my friends were going, I would totally go with them because I thought it was that special. Yeah. So Petra is actually kind of in the same area as Wadi Rum. It's to the south, and its nickname is the Rose City or the Lost City. And it's really funny because the reason why it's called the Lost City, and I love this fact, is that it was unknown until 1812. And what's hilarious is all of the local people who like knew about Petra were like trying to hide it from all the tourists and everyone who was coming around, all the people who like weren't actually like from the region. Okay. And then like one guy in 1812 like finally caved, and he's like, fine, I'll show this. I know they don't call them gringos, but we were just talking about Mexico. Fine, I'll show this gringo, you know, like I'll show him the city, right? And so they take him to the city, and then once he leaves, he just tells everyone. He's like, this is great. Like, secrets out. Like, you guys got to all check this out. And then after that, everyone descended on the city, and it became more of like an attraction to see. And, you know, in the beginning, I'm sure there was archaeologists and historians coming in and excavating everything. And so I thought that was really funny.
Dude, that is so good that they just tried to hide it from the gringos and the tourists. Like, I wonder if there's still something out there that, you know, no Americans know about, but just some epic thing that like some native people somewhere are still hiding from us. I hope there is, because that's awesome. I feel like we ruin everything. So
yeah, I hope there is too. Like, it's never been on TikTok. It's never been on Snapchat. Like this just magnificent thing in the middle of like Papua New Guinea or something like that. you know. Yeah, I hope so too. But I also, now, Steve, that would be great, right? Like, what if we could be the guys, to break the story?
We're just that chill. Like we meet some locals and they're like, these are the chillest Americans I've ever met. I got to show them this undercover world wonder. Like they choose us because they think we're just that cool. Yeah. And then we ruin it. And then we go tell everyone.
We literally would tell everyone, but we'd have to come off like we wouldn't, like we'd have to kind of,
yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. We don't even have cell phones. What is TikTok? What is Reddit? Yeah. Don't worry about it. Twitter doesn't exist anymore. It's only X, but they don't need to know that. Be like, yeah, no, we don't have Twitter. Yeah, go ahead. You show.
I don't know. Yeah. We're really shy. We have zero friends. This is it. Who would I tell? I don't even know.
Yeah, we're not big talkers. Definitely don't have a podcast or anything like that. So yeah, you can trust us with this.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That would be hilarious, though. It's almost like being chosen to be like the Dalai Lama, It's like they go around and like trying to find, okay, what is our most optimal candidate to show the secret to? Who's going to hand it down? It's us, and we just ruin everything and like. Okay. But what is another cool fun fact is only 15% of the city is actually been uncovered. Only 15%. And it's over 100 square miles. So truly, when you go to Petra, it's basically impossible to see everything in one day. You need to go multiple days if you want to see everything within the bounds of the city. So, I mean, that means there's just a lot to see. 15% of it's uncovered. 85% of it is like, I think, excavated, because what's cool about Petra is basically a city, but there are some like standalone buildings that they built, but a lot of the buildings are like carved into the rock or like into the canyon. So, if you ever seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, when they're like going into the temple or whatever, like that's Petra. And that's kind of the style of a lot of the buildings. That building in Petra is actually called like the treasury, or like the bank basically of the city. And so that's why it like looks so cool and ornate and dramatic.
And so most of the buildings are just like underground and just not uncovered yet.
Yeah, like apparently like there's or like built into the rock where they haven't excavated far enough in.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's a lot to see, but the main ones I think are kind of in the middle. And so a typical route is you kind of like start at what is called like the monastery, and then you kind of work your way through the city, and you get to see a bunch of different things. The treasury, different houses that people did, their water system, different types of temples. And so I thought it was just like super cool. I felt like it was not like a ton touristy, because it's such a large area that you can kind of be a little bit by yourself. It's not like they're kind of herding you in there, and there's multiple entrances to get in and multiple exits to leave. So, it's not like you're just getting funneled in for like some sort of, organized fun every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so Petra, is definitely really awesome. And I felt like I would totally go back, and, it was, a beautiful city. I took a lot of photos, and I wish I would have taken more, honestly. But sometimes that's tricky.
Yeah. You were enjoying the moment. So good on you for that. I've taken 0 pictures since I've been in Mexico again. I don't know. I've kind of been here already before, so I'm good.
No, like taco pics, Steve?
The girlfriend, she usually gets the taco pics. Phones eat first, as we like to say. But yeah, I haven't really taken many. Yeah, I took like 4 at the wedding. Like 2 were of you. So yeah, we're good.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, yeah. So Jordan, overall, like I felt like the food is really good too, like Mediterranean type of meze food. It's a really stable country. It was kind of the only country that didn't have like an Arab Spring. From what I gathered from the locals, it was like, yeah, we have like a king, but all these other Arab countries overthrew their king and now they're shitty. So what we're going to do is just live with it. And like, we're just not going to go through that, and everything's fine. Like, we're good. Like, everyone's happy. Like, we're fairly prosperous. You know, we don't have like terrorism issues or anything like that. And so we're just going to chill. And so I felt like the main city it had great infrastructure, great food. It felt very modern. And I felt like the weather was really nice, rolling hills, kind of a drier climate. It was a beautiful place. I could totally live there for multiple months, honestly.
Nice. And what about the nomad vibes, working, co-working, Wi-Fi, things like that?
Yep. Great Wi-Fi, great nomad vibes. There was a few co-working places that I liked, as well as I feel like this is one thing that the Arab countries do a really good job at, which is they always have really cool cafes. And I felt like I worked out of some cafes that were really nice and comfortable and kind of made for more longer sitting rather than maybe like an American style cafe where it's like, get your coffee, drink it, and leave.
Get the hell out. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Tell me more. What else about, how do you even say the name of the city? Amman?
The way we got to Amman the first time was I was living in Egypt. And I intentionally overstayed my visa for a couple of months in Egypt. I just kind of figured after being in Cairo, it's a lawless place. I mean, it's crazy. Like there's no rules. You got like, it's like a 4-lane highway, but we made it into 7 lanes. Like, it's a psycho place. And so I was like, you know what? These guys aren't organized enough to know that I'm going to overstay my visa. So I'm just going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Which is probably not the best move. And so this has consequences, though, because our plan was, and remember I was saying all of these countries sort of share a sea. And so I was like, okay, well, we're going to take a ferry from Egypt into Jordan. And so I'm about to board the ferry, and you got to go through customs essentially because you're going to a different country. And they stop me and they like look at my visa, and then they're like, wait, that was longer than 3 months or something. And like, we all kind of look at each other, you know, and I'm trying to be like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm going on the boat. Like, you know, like just like trying to like be like the dumb American, like, oh, are you sure about that? It's kind of like smud. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe that November is supposed to be like a March. Like, I'm not sure like what that says, you know, just I'm bullshitting with them. Right. And then they're like, look, I'm sorry, sir, but you cannot actually go get on this ferry here. You need to go to a more official checkpoint and pay a fine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So I get a taxi from basically Egypt to the border of Israel. Okay, this is about a 2-hour drive from where I am at. So I get a taxi, I get up there, and then I get to the land border and I'm like, okay, guys, like I'm walking through. And again, I don't preface, hey, I overstayed my visa. I'm just trying to see if I can get away with it again. And the classic thing, they look at me and they're like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. And then they go in a back room and take all my stuff for a bit. And I'm like sitting there and they come back and they're like, look, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to make you pay a fine. Ends up being $100 fine for 3 months overstaying my visa.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's not terrible at all. Like, this is great. Like $100, like in America, it would have been some real consequences there. So I pay the $100, I get through the land border, and then I have to get a taxi from Israel to Jordan. And it's about a 45-minute drive. This guy takes me to the Jordanian border, and then I'm able to cross into Jordan. And I actually made it just as fast into Jordan going that route than I would have if I would have taken the ferry. Now, obviously, it was a little more expensive for me because I had to pay the fine and get a couple taxis, but it was still fairly quick.
Wow. You know, you really do inspire me to overstay more visas. Like, I feel like I'm way too proper with it, playing by the rules all the time. But if you can overstay for 3 months and just pay $100, like that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I feel like it's nothing. What we need to do, Steve, is we need to come up with a list of what is the easiest countries you can overstay your visa for. You know, like people need to kind of do some market research and be like, okay, like Lithuania, you can get away with it. Like You know what I'm saying? In Europe,
Yeah.
don't do it. Like
Yeah.
that these kind of things. Like so. Yeah. And I'm sure our viewers out there have some overstaying their visas stories as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love to hear anyone's firsthand stories because there's a lot of rumors out there on the internet that you can't always believe until you do it yourself. So,
Right. I would definitely not do it on a whim, though. Maybe do a little bit of research. I just felt like the chaos of Egypt, it was crazy. I was like, how could they possibly keep track of my whereabouts?
yeah, makes sense.
And nothing against Egypt. You know, I just felt like it was a little bit, a little wild. So, yeah. So that's kind of all I got about Jordan.
All right, I did look up some fun facts too, and this one kind of stuck out, especially with the Super Bowl this weekend. I guess during the Greco-Roman period, not sure when that was, but the city of Amman was actually called Philadelphia. I guess it was in honor of some King Philadelphus of Egypt. So this was probably way back in the day, but it was once called Philadelphia.
Wow. Well, they're going to be pretty sad on Sunday. That's for sure.
They are. Yeah. Well, this will air after the Super Bowl. So congratulations to the Chiefs. We'll call it now. Sorry to any of our Philadelphia audience out there that you lost the Super Bowl and you lost the name of that city in Jordan, now called Amman.
Yeah, now you only got the city of Philly. So you're down one city, down one Super Bowl.
All right. No, that was great, man. I appreciate you sharing your insight there.
Yeah, of course.
Now, I do have some Nomad news if we're ready for it.
I'm so ready.
Okay. So there have been a lot of earthquakes in the island of Santorini in Greece. They had like 300 earthquakes in 48 hours. So I guess there's been a state of emergency declared. It's going to be going on until March 3rd is how long the state of emergency is supposed to last until they respond to the seismic activity in the area. Now, most of these earthquakes, obviously there's 300. They weren't that big. If there were 300 huge earthquakes, I'm pretty sure the whole island would be destroyed. But most of them were slight tremors, like they're literally classified as slight, which is around 3.0 magnitude.
Okay.
And the biggest one I think they've had so far was a magnitude of 5.2, which is considered moderate. And then after that one, they did have several quakes that were 4.0, and those are considered light. But yeah, shit's going crazy there. I mean, it's schools are closed. People are fleeing the island. So about 20,000 permanent residents live in Santorini. And then, of course, there's tons of tourists there all the time. So maybe the population is like double that on any given day. But I guess over half of those permanent residents have fled the island, either by boat or by plane, to get away from this seismic shit.
Wait, so can you feel the slight tremor? Like, would you know it happened, or is that just like come up on like some sort of device?
I think you can feel it. I mean, if it's enough to close schools, I think there's something going on. It seems legit. They're saying that the cause may be the tectonic plates are shifting because they're in like this area. They got like the African tectonic plates and the Eurasian tectonic plates. Again, another class that I think cheated a lot in and didn't learn a ton was geology class. No, I didn't cheat in that class. I just didn't go to it. Because it was like the professor just gave us all the slides, like the whole presentation from every class. So I would just kind of study those the night before and then take the tests. All good. Learning about rocks isn't too exciting, but this stuff is really interesting. Yeah, lots of earthquakes out there. It's, let's see what else. Oh, Santorini's most recent large earthquake was a 7.5 magnitude. Okay, now that's like pretty bad. Okay, they haven't even...
See, that sounds like it would fuck shit up.
Yeah, so that was in 1956, and it killed at least 53 people, injured over 100 people. So that's that's legit. So I think they're afraid that something like that's going to happen again, and so they're getting the hell out of there.
Dude, that's wild. And it's crazy, right? Because like all of the like buildings are like built right up to the cliff on Santorini. Like, I mean, not all of them, but like, you know, that's like one of the dramatic photos you see. Like, you see them all like right on that cliff. Like,
Right.
I mean, what if they all just fall into the sea, like, you know, from the earthquake? That would be crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy. So I think that the big earthquake that they had back in 1956 was caused by a volcanic eruption. And that's originally like how the island even got its shape, was from like a giant volcano eruption somewhere. And that's why there's like a big crater kind of, and that's how what created all those cliffs on the island. But they're saying that, you know, the ones happening now are not caused by a volcanic eruption. It's the tectonic plates. So that's more chill, I guess. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff. I've never been to Santorini. I've been to some other islands in Greece. You've been to Santorini though, right, Jack?
Yeah. One of the cool things you can do is like do like a little thing where you go to the middle part where like that, you know, this kind of the source of the eruption.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see like they have like, you know, like the sulfur clouds are kind of coming out of the ground, and like you can smell it, and like you can see like volcanic rock and things like that, which is kind of cool.
Damn. So do they have like volcanoes under the ground or under the sea there? I know that's a thing somewhere, like under.
I feel like yeah, because it really looks like basically a gigantic hole just blew up, and then it's like, yeah, Santorini just like built on like the outer rim of the part that like didn't get destroyed.
Damn. Yeah. So that's some crazy shit. You know, that's the news we'll continue monitoring the situation there. Hopefully it's chilled out, but apparently all week, like every day, there's been small earthquakes. So 300 earthquakes is a lot for 2 days. It just seems, even if they're small, that seems like too many. I think, you know, one or two, you're good, but 300 is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, how do you even count that many? Like, I feel like they gotta, you know, I feel like I wouldn't be able to sleep if I just keep hearing earthquakes all night. That's freaked me out.
Yeah, if the earth just keeps quaking, like, dude, stop quaking. I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, like, can you wait till tomorrow?
Have you ever experienced an earthquake, Jack? Like, have you ever been in one, felt one?
I know I know that when I was sleeping, one happened when I was in LA, but I don't remember it. So I'm going to go with no.
Yeah, that happened to me somewhere too. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Like they said it happened, and I think I was sleeping or something. I was like, did you feel that last night? And I'm like, no, I didn't feel shit.
Yeah, that's literally been my experience.
Interesting.
What do you think would be scarier, Steve? One of our tornadoes from Kansas or like an earthquake? Earthquake would be scarier.
Yeah, I think an earthquake's harder to run from, you know. Yes, or like, you know, you can kind of, they say there's so many things to do to be safe during a tornado, you know, get some shelter or whatever, or you can run away, drive away, depending on your situation, of course. But I feel like you could get away from a tornado, but like an earthquake, it's just like, I don't know, it just happens underneath you or whatever, and you fall into the earth and you end up in the Dead Sea. Like, fuck, I don't know how you can avoid that.
Yeah. Yeah, you become Petra. You're just like 85% covered in rock.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It scares me, but yeah, what would you say? Let's say earthquake versus like a giant what are those, like a tsunami or like a hurricane or something like that? What would be sketchier?
Okay. I think I might have to go with tsunami or hurricane. I just feel like you'd be so scared to be like chilling on the beach, you know, drinking like a mango margarita, and you just see this wave coming that's like a wall of water in the distance. Like, I just feel like I would know I'd be fucked. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you can't just like you run away from it, but like it's gonna crash and like destroy everything like within miles, right? Like, I don't know, like, or you can't leave because everything's flooded.
Yeah, yeah. Water is sketch. I will say, water is sketch.
But like, Okay, but in the movies, earthquakes are like splitting the earth. Like, does that actually happen?
That's
Like,
what I always picture.
for like, yeah, like where the earth is like like this or something, like in India, like I feel like that could be terrible.
All right, now I'm looking up deadliest earthquakes of all time. So the worst one ever was in China in 1556. It killed over 800,000 people. Then there was another one and that was a magnitude of 8.0. Okay, so that's kind of a lot. Then there was another one in China in 1976, so a little bit more modern, that killed 242,000 people, possibly more.
What?
Destroyed.
It's that for 8. That is absurd.
Yeah. Let's see what else we had. Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami in 2004. I think I kind of remember that. It was in Thailand, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and India. Again, killed like 250,000 people. That was in 2004. Magnitude 9.2.
So that Santorini 7.5 was super.
Yeah, that's a big one. But now you can see why like the 4.0 is considered light or the 5.2 is considered moderate. Now, really recently, this one I learned about not long ago, and I thought this one was really sketch. There was an earthquake near Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Talked about Haiti before on this show, and that had like over 200,000 deaths as well. That was in 2010, magnitude 7.0. It was exacerbated by poor infrastructure. Like, obviously, if something catastrophic happens in Haiti, like, they don't have a lot of money or like infrastructure to support something like that. So I think that caused a lot of the deaths and everything as well. But yeah, that one was crazy. 200,000 people died.
Dude, I mean, that is mind-boggling. 200, it's like hard to visualize. 200,000 people is an insane amount.
It's a shit ton of people.
Like, that's ridiculous. Like what does that even mean? Like, I wonder what I don't want to sound like an idiot, but like, what is the exact cause of death there? Like, like in the tsunami one, right? Like, is it because they drowned? Like, is the earthquake one because like they fell in the earth and it was like, in Star Wars where you have like the worm that eats you? Like, is that what happened?
I don't know. I'm sure it varies. Like, like I said, the Haiti one, like maybe there was injuries and then they just couldn't treat their injuries. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, that's sad. Should we like talk about something lighter or like something happy before we head out here?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can change it up a little bit. Do you think people chase earthquakes like they chase tornadoes though?
That would be stupid. Maybe if you chase it by air, like in a plane, a helicopter, that would make more sense.
Yeah.
The storm chasing people are also very stupid, though. I mean, they just like get as close as possible. I used to remember those people in Kansas. It's like they would drive right up to it, like do the opposite of what you're supposed to do to avoid getting injured by it. Yeah.
Which would be wild. I don't know what compels people. I feel like there was a movie that came out very recently about storm chasers that was really good.
Well, yeah. Twister 2 came out recently. I remember seeing Twister 1 back in the day, but yeah. All right. Do you have like a joke or something that we can make light of?
That we can lighten things up? No, but I wish everyone the best on Earth, and I really hope that Santorini like doesn't go under, because even though it's a highly touristy spot, the views are awesome. Because of the erosion, they made some awesome views. Like, so,
all right.
I hope they can keep that going.
That's good. Yeah. It seems like a beautiful place. I'll check it out one of these days. Oh, here's a joke about earthquakes. Why did the earthquake? So there's an earthquake and there's a building and they're dating each other, I think. So why did they break up? Why did the earthquake break up with the building? It's because their relationship was too shaky. Damn it.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's are buildings these days like earthquake proof, like how they are with hurricanes?
Yeah, I think they try to make them like that. Yeah, I think they do try to make them like that, like earthquake resistant. I'm doing fine up here. My air conditioner works, so yeah, I think I'll be fine.
Amazing. Okay, Steve. Well, I had a great time discussing these things with you today. We had to get a little bit real today. You know, we had to kind of lay it down and a little bit less jokes, a little more information. And, you know, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. It's just the world. It's the way the world works. We'll try to talk about something sillier next time and get back to the laughs.
Well, there are some laughs we recorded last week where it should be coming out soon, though, right, Steve? Maybe a little taco adventure.
Oh, yeah, baby. Get hyped. That'll be good. All right, people. Have a good day.
And smash that subscribe button.
Smash that shit. Take a weird trip. Goodbye.